Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the NLC. Why are we dancing, Rude? Regardless, though.
I know you love it. I know you love it when I give a little bop for the good games.
I do love it. And maybe it's because we have match of the day coming up. It is Ruddy against Riddle. An absolute banger, as the still undefeated Riddle, the only undefeated team in our league, is going up against the Ruddy Esports, who, riddle me this, Rude, should be winning because they are the word of the day on Word.
Oh, that's true. That is true. I saw the tweet earlier, and I was like, there's no way there's just some good Photoshop. Boot it up. First guess. Well, good luck to them, because I think they're going to need it. And there's no doubting that, right? Riddle are 8-0 for a reason, and when these two teams played last, it really wasn't close. I hate to be that guy,
sadly,
but it was an absolute shellacking by Riddle. They were absolutely dominant. Ruddy, I think, got like 2-3 kills maximum in that game, and it didn't look good at all. But they've had a lot of time since then, have developed, obviously, that team synergy, have been growing as a unit as well. And I think that even off the back of what was a very difficult game up against Veneer, the fact that they win it has just got an element of team building anyway, right? Where you can just laugh with the guys, be like, yo, we entered that game, but we still won. Like, that's how good we are. There's that element of confidence that you get, and that little self-preservation, I suppose, from the win as well.
The thing is, Rude, that also begs the question, if you get that far behind against Riddle, will you be able to come back? And I think the answer to that very likely is no. And that's the thing about Riddle or Ruddy to me, because Ruddy, last time we casted them, Rude, they were playing against the Bird. They had a nearly perfect game. They lost one Drake. Otherwise, a perfect game against a team that is currently in a playoff spot. Then last week, as you say, against Veneer, they had to come back around a Baron fight to win the game against a team they easily should have beaten on paper. So the thing is, we don't know what we're getting with Ruddy. They have played some absolutely phenomenal League of Legends, and they've almost lost to Veneer, being forced to do a comeback. So I'm excited to see which side we see today.
It's important to note as well, we also don't entirely know what side of Riddle we're going to see. There's a substitution in play for them, 8-0. Why are they making substitutions? Reptiles just had to take a medical break, some arm/wrist issues, I believe, so can't be playing to the full extent of his of what the team demands. Trying to keep up with an 8-0 scrim schedule, definitely going to be quite difficult, and for medical reasons has decided to take a little break. They've pulled in Jinjo, who is not a slouch by any capacity. This guy was a spring 2022 Prime League champion. Has also got a very nice debut for himself because he's playing up against his teammate from summer. He played on Mad Lions in summer in 2022 in Niter. So the Niter versus Jinjo rivalry is going to be there a little bit because they were teammates just last split. So there's that little extra added incentive for both of these two players to make a statement in this match. But the fact that, like I said, there is this substitution for Riddle means that we don't entirely know what we get to see from their bot side. I will say, when we've seen Riddle play, it has not particularly been bot side focused. But just that different AD carry could add an element of danger.
It could add something. And just before we go into the draft, I quickly want to say, Rude, how did you think the split Jinjo and Nida played together went?
Badly.
Yeah, that team got relegated. Mad Lions Madrid got relegated, and that's also one of the things about both of these players. They are trying to reprove themselves because both individually have had success before Mad Lions Madrid, but on that roster, they both failed. So now they're back here in the NLC to reprove themselves as the first draft phase is being routed out. The Varus, Maokai, and the Lease being taken away. Taking that Lease away from No Name is very, very big, as Ruddy finalizing that band as well, taking away Banderas as Fiora, the Wukong from Johan, and the Jack from Banderas as well.
So where do we go for the open here? There we go. Ash is one of the bot laners that has not been banned. Typically, you'll see a myriad of bans thrown down there, and then your opener for the draft is going to be whichever one you decide to take up. Ash gives a little bit of flexibility over to Riddle, right? You can play this in support, you can play this in the bot lane carry role as well. So they're keeping their cards close to their chest with their blue one, but what we do know from this bot side is dominance in the lane.
It is what we expect as the block-ins now start coming through from the side of Ruddy as well. That is the Sejuani likely into the hands of No Name, but obviously they could change. Hovering the Lee Sin, maybe calling back to some unfortunate Lee Sin performances from No Name this split. I think it was against Riddle as well, if I remember correctly. Won't be going down that route yet another time. So likely the Sejuani for him. The Jace locked in for Nida. That is an understandable lock-in because he's had so much success in laning phase on that Jace.
Yeah, Knight has been really tearing up opponents with this Jace. I'm a happy man to see this as a blind pick for Ruddy. Now, of course, it means that Riddle get their choice of answers, and you've got a choice to potentially just outrange the Jace as well. It's something that you can try for the laning phase. Going to be curious about where we see the rest of Riddle's draft end up going. Obviously, with an Ashe locked in early doors, it means they've got good poke on the offset, good pick as well. They're going to look to double down on that poking aspect, though, locking in the Ezreal for Jinjo. A bit of a statement for your first game in the NLC, right? You go for a champion with some very high skill ceilings. We'll have to see if you can perform on that.
Yeah, that will be exciting to see. Regardless, though, my excitement levels are going up as this draft is happening. I'm seeing opportunity for individual outplays. I'm seeing a lot of excitement as Banderas takes away one of the 3 champions that Rifty has played this year. It is the Cassandra.
You've been listening, you've been watching, good. And importantly, one of the others is banned, that in the Jax. So unless we see the Renekton come out from Rifty here, we're going to be onto a unique champion for him. We'll, of course, have to keep our eyes peeled for that one to see which it is. I do want to illustrate that you made a great point about the Sejuani potentially being a flex. Could expect to see Rifty take this one because No Name has played the Sejuani once before this split, but feels a lot more comfortable on the aggressive playmaking champions that have got a bit more skill expression than just the Sejuani, who stands in the front line, presses ult, and is a beefy tank.
We're now back to the second ban phase after the AD carry has been secured for Tinvoxner, a late game scaling Sivir, something that I normally like to see him on. I think Tinvoxner does great on a lot of champions, but he does have some bad memories on it, playing it against LDLC in the quarterfinals of the MSN European Masters. I'm sad to remind you guys, but I remember that day very badly as well. It was a horrible day for Northern League of Legends. Regardless, though, hopefully he can bounce back on the champion and right his wrongs from the horrible performance he had against LDLC on the Sivir. We still love you, Tinvoxner, 2-time summer champion. I still love that guy. He's absolutely wonderful in real life. Very talkative. Regardless, though, I want to take it back to the bans. I'm moving too far away. It's the Lilian Vi. The loot has been taken off the table as well. Now it's on.
So far, Tinvoxner's done a good enough job on this Sivir 1-1 in this split on the champion so far. But heading into the second round of bans, you just see the takeaway of the common pairing, that being the Lulu. A world where we see the Yuumi. I know that this champion got absolutely gutted, so it's like a lot lower, but we've already seen it be pulled out by just Kasing last week. Managed to pull out a Twitch Yuumi game, so there's a world where you see another Enchanter. Karma is still open and fits a lot better, I mean, honestly, versus the Ashe in particular. You have a decent enough matchup down on that bot side. But it doesn't particularly scream Nash to me. A champion that does scream Nash is this Rakan. Lovely amounts of engage, and it's not something that is necessarily missing, but it's something that is going to go beautifully with the rest of their composition. They've got a Sejuani for one, then the follow-up of a Rakan against a very immobile support matchup as well. If that Ashe is caught in a rough position, Nash is going to find it.
And honestly, I wouldn't even care about the support matchup or anything when I see Nash like in Rakan, because he's been so unbelievably good on the champion. Back-to-back MVP last week, and we all remember what he did against Natives, getting that 4-man, the quickness. It was absolutely wonderful. As a very strong combo gets locked in for the Korean duo here of Riddle, with the Diana Yasuo combo being secure for that mid-jungle synergy.
And up against the Jace, which is also, it's worth remembering, a flex pick, so we could see Rifty go into the top lane with this Jace if they don't like the Jace in the mid lane, in particular in this matchup. I think this is actually a fairly decent match for Nita, though. I think Jace versus Yasuo is going to be fairly Jace favoured through the early stages of this game. Of course, at level 6, it does become a lot more difficult. Worth noting here quickly, Rifty locking in that Renekton means that we're sticking to the tried and true 3. This was a counter pick to Cassandra when he played it last time. Pulls it out once again just to give him a solid enough laning phase here in game number 2 for these two teams.
Now, the holy trinity for him is those 3 champions, the Jax, the Cassandra, and the Renekton, and he sticks to those. But talking about the matchup, it's very clear, right? As you say, he has a good early matchup, he can survive that, but in the late game, there is no way in hell he's killing Banderas 1v1.
No, but he one-shots Fire Rain, and that's
that is true.
I want to see Prowler's Clawblade of the Ruin King. It's not going to be great for that 1 versus 1, and I guess in the side lane he may have to itemize differently. But when we get to that late game stage, if you can just Prowler onto honestly any of the other 4 champions that Riddle have got, you trade 1-for-1 with them. I'm more than happy with it because their utility and their damage, their presence in a late game team fight is going to be far superior to that of yourself as Rifty on the Renekton.
And as the draft has been said, just glancing over it one more time, I want to take it into the mid lane jungle synergy, because the Diana Yasuo is such a strong combo when you reach level 6. I'm very interested to see how Nida will be able to deal with that, because he's someone who, in the 1v1, has been able to build up good leads, good CS lead, good CS leads, and everything. And now, level 6, he has to be very careful as soon as they get hit by firing, because all of a sudden he could be knocked up and he could be dead in an instant.
Yeah, I think the expectation is that this early stage should go very heavily toward Nito, and it's actually worth mentioning that Fireign, in terms of numbers, hasn't been performing as well as a lot of our mid laners. I know that Dan Holt has been posting a lot of graphs and relative to smart damage, KD, all of these wonderful statistics, and Fireign has actually been ranking a little bit lower relative to the rest of his team and honestly to the rest of the mid lane pool. Looking at it for me as well, just in terms of his play, has been a little bit lacking from what I'm expecting from an 8-0 mid laner. So if there was a place for Ruddy to try and capitalize it, it's actually this Yasuo. We're all familiar with the typical solo queue Yasuo tendencies, and this champion has that reputation for a reason. When behind, it's difficult to play out, and if we see Fire Rain fall a little bit, it could be a good point for Ruddy to execute on.
And I do just want to circle back to the Dan Holt point, because it has been absolutely phenomenal seeing those kind of statistics. It's very, very interesting. And as someone who likes to play Football Manager and dive into the data hub there and look at the small little statistics about the players, I find this so intriguing to see how they match up against each other on these very different parameters. So big shout out to him for doing those. They are absolutely lovely to see on my timeline every time they are there. But now, back to our match of the day. I am so excited to see what side of Ruddy we see, because I genuinely believe if we see the Ruddy, that nearly perfect game Verdant, we could see such an interesting game here, and Riddle might take their first L today.
Exactly. With the consensus around the community coming into the split was that Ruddy would be challenging for top 3 and challenging for top 1. Up against Riddle, up against Nord. First round robin, they showed the broadcast that wasn't the case, and that unfortunately Ruddy were just a step down. But when we watch them in the games that they're winning, and the games that they're winning convincingly, they look so darn good that we think they can challenge Riddle, that we think they can challenge Nord, and now they're up against them. This is that time for them to show it.
And I think that's something we should be talking about, right? Because you're saying as Ruddy, yeah, they're a team that we're expecting to challenge. And if there's anyone who knows from this underdog outsider position to challenge for the top of the league, it is then Voxnit, because he does it time and time again. Untricked by the staff and players in summer 2021, they were rated 4th overall as a team. They finished 1st. Coming into summer 2022, he joined Dusty, and what happened then? Well, they were rated as outsiders, but X7, BTXL, these teams, Bifrost maybe even, were still ahead of them in the power rankings. What happened? Well, they won the split. So if there's anyone who knows how to play from this position of they are an outsider, they could definitely go far. Well, it is then Voxnit, and he's proven it time and time again.
Early jungle paths have taken both Johan and No Name away from one another, playing to their respective strong sides of the map. Obviously, the Renekton expected to get pushed versus the Cassante, and Ezreal Karma expected to get pushed down on this bot side. That has proven to be the case. So we're expecting a fairly quiet first couple of minutes. Not too many plays to be made unless we're, seeing some extensive lane ganks, some potential dives to come through. But mid lane has been a bit of a back and forth affair so far. Fireign and Nita have traded turrets or traded waves under their turrets. It's not really given either one of them that freedom to roam up to a side lane and try and make a dive happen with a true numbers advantage.
Doran's shield as well from Fireign early on, right? Does help with that as someone who doesn't have that luxurious keeper, who goes very far forward a bit too much. Forced to pop the barriers.
Oh!
Banderas just gets the first blood, or rather, he dies. First blood goes over to Rift. That's massive here for Ruddy.
That is huge. It looks like they're just catching him on the bounce back. Rifty pushed that wave in on the top turret, and then as soon as it starts to crash back out, push away from the Cassante. No Name's there to capitalize, there to gank it, there to find first blood.
Jinjo, very confident in this one, as he just gets good damage onto them. Voxnit here, you say. Another little fun fact about those two. They haven't played together, obviously both being AD carries, but in the spring of 2022, guess who played with Knight on Mad Lions Madrid? Well, it was then Voxnit. Then what happened? Spring didn't go that well. They changed out their AD carry. Who did they bring in? An AD carry from Game One, who had just won the Prime League. You mentioned it earlier. It is Jinjo. So both of these players have tried and failed at Mad Lions Madrid. Now they're back in the NLC to prove why they're still very good at the game.
And already back up to this top side, look at No Name trying to force the issue with this Renekton and Cassante matchup. Stun's already here, Rifty's on top of Banderas.
Yeah, Johan can be here soon though, but already the stacks are up for No Name to just lock down and secure the kill. Banderas buying time, but to little effect, as that is too early and two crucial kills for Ruddy in this game.
Two things here. Rifty playing this fight exceptionally well, holding his Ruthless Predator until No Name is in range to apply the instant stun, and then No Name can just chase it up. But this is all because of that first gank that No Name made. He went in, found the gank at the right time, and importantly, No Name and Rifty decided, we're not going to push that wave. We're going to keep it in this scary position. Okay, takes a turret shot, firing should be okay. But they keep the wave in a position where Rifty is again able to just jump on top of Banderas. If Johan's not there, No Name finds a great gank. He sacrificed his entire bot side to go for that gank. The expected deploy from No Name after that first gank is go to your bot side and clear those camps. He doesn't clear them, he just runs straight top and gets another gank off. Rifty 1-0-1 in a winning matchup on that top side needs to be a formidable threat and go into this mid game with a real advantage.
It is so nice to see Ruddy be the one team proactive so far this game, making moves around the map, and as Johan is now towards the spot side, same goes for No Name, a potential 3v3, level 4s on the bot lane, is 5 on the junglers, no ultimates of any kind available, summoner spells, heals, and combat summoners rather missing, as No Name now looking for the mid lane, still no Glacial Prison, but lock up potentially there if Fire Rain goes too far forward. Could be in a whole heaps of trouble. Dashes forward here. Very, very aggressive as he gets knocked up underneath the turret and taken down. Now back to the bot lane though. We do see Johan looking for something but unable to connect. And No Name is having just such a wonderful time so far in the jungle.
He's on a tear. 2-0-1. There are 3 kills in this game and they are all off the back of this Sejuani. Q flash in, makes sure that Fire Rain gets immediately stunned up and can't flash away to safety. They proc that Sejuani passive once again. The Sejuani and the Jace. 2 very good champions that's synergizing well with one another. We get to see it once again. Hammer form goes in and then you're insta-stacking that permafrost. Don't even need the stun in the end to find that kill. I think he gets blocked by a wind wall, but it's just beautiful play from No Name. And one of the things that we've credited Riddle with throughout this entire season was Johan. He's got the most player of the games in the entire split because of how well he commands early game. Unfortunately, he's playing a Diana, a champion that has 0 early game presence until they reach level 6, and it is showing this game. Johan has done nothing on the map, and he's got out-jungled by No Name, who has been a presence from level 3.
I'm almost shell-struck, honestly, because I knew if Ruddy played well, they could show up, but I did not expect them to take the game by the balls. Let's be completely honest and say, no, we are the one making the moves, we are the one dominant in the early game. I am so impressed, especially by their top side, because if there were any players that I was questioning and excited to see how good they really were, it was Rifty and No Name, because No Name hyped up from the LVP 2nd division. I heard he was very good, but I didn't know he was this good, at the very least with what he has shown today, and Rifty as well. Yes, he might have won the EBL, but he didn't get to play at EU Masters, so I didn't know how he stacked up against the competition. Then he split in NLC Division 3 with Ruddy, so I was also very interested. Where does his level lie? And very clearly, it lies around the very top, with if they can continue, rather, to produce these sorts of performances they are putting on in these 8 minutes.
Still a long way to go, though, for Ruddy. Their composition does scale nicely into that late game. Sejuani, Jace, Sivir, 3 champions that are going to do wonders for you in that late stage, with the Sejuani being that front line, and I'm only ever excited to see what Nash can pull out on a Rakan. They've got a great lead in this early game to segue them to that late stage of the Rift. And I think that with Rifty on this Renekton and the lead that he's been able to get fed essentially from No Name through this early game, we're doing a really good spot. Their issue is just going to come from if they get out-teamed for once these level 6s that are now online start to get utilized. Johan, Fire Rain, they've got the mid-jungle synergy between Diana and Yasuo, and the second they choose to kill somebody with their ults, the likelihood is that they should die.
So that is exactly what we're waiting for now, right? Because the early game should start to change, but it is actually Nash who has moved out of the bot lane and started roaming around with No Name. They'll catch out Johan here. I think just Johan might be dead. Does have the flash, but he could be locked up. Oh, and it's just the chain donated over to Nida. It is so clean from Ruddy.
presence of mind from all players involved, right? Johan knows he doesn't need to burn flash because he can use the crescent sweep to get over the wall. But then Nash knows he can do this. W to follow. Wonderful execution from Ruddy. They managed to find the jungler clearing out that red buff. And honestly, as we move on into this pause, it's Ruddy 4-0 up, just completely dominating this early game. This is akin to what we saw from them against Verdant. Perfect opening to the game. Perfect start out to what they were looking for, and using the early game priority of this Sejuani. There was a B1 of the Ashe in the draft for Riddle. It's not showing its face just yet. They could have taken the Sejuani and had Johan do wonderful things like No Name's doing. They looked to prioritize in that bot lane, and I can't see this yes numbers right now, but I don't think that the lead in that bot lane is warranting the priority.
It is a very, very good game at the moment by Ruddy, and I want to take it back because we just talked about the point that now it's when we would start to like to start and see Johan and Firerain look for kills together as a 2v2 duo. But what happens? Johan gets caught out in his own jungle. It's like Ruddy realized now is when we should start being careful of those two together. So we'll just go into the jungle and find one of them alone and then just kill that guy. It is so impressive, and it's the same thing we credited them for when they played against Verdant with their poke comp. They knew how to play their comp to perfection, and they're doing it again here. They know where their opponent's strengths lie, and they are playing around it so well.
And it's that recognition of not just your win conditions, but what are your lose conditions. How do I ever lose a game as Ruddy in this situation is if that Diana Yasuo get the ball rolling. So like you mentioned, they go in, they isolate out the Diana, and they have a really good gank they have a really good gank angle now onto that bot side. We obviously reach the pause before that happens, but that kill on the Diana isn't just going to be one quick pickup and then everybody goes back to standard laning. It's probably going to be a wave forced off from the Riddle bot side, so it's going to be difficult for the Ashe and Ezreal to really get their lead established in that bot side of the map, because any lead that had been put up there, then Voxlane is probably going to claw back in these next 30 seconds because he's got that little bit of extra added support from his jungle and support.
Yeah, I'm still absolutely shell-shocked. It has been such a great performance in this beginning from Ruddy, and I want to talk about how do they take this now towards more the mid half of the game, the later game as well, because obviously scaling will start to play a part. The Silver scales very well, and as you said, she'll be able to recoup some of the loss that she had to endure thanks to the bot lane from Riddle. So he will get that back now with a couple placed in Voxlane, but moving into the mid stage of the game, do we start to maybe see them go a little bit more passive, or how should they play this out in the camp?
They've still got a couple of options. I think that with a lot of the early game objectives still up to be played for, I just imagine we're going to see some fairly standard macro play from both of these teams still. And as long as those two can be put down, I think that Riddle have got a way to get back into this game, because there's going to be a Drake spawning soon. There's going to be a second Herald spawning soon. When those two objectives start to rear their ugly head, that's when we can expect to see Riddle start to fight back. If they don't find any fight backs, and if Ruddy just continue to keep on snowballing on these objectives, I think that's how they're going to transition this mid game into more than just a good early game advantage, but into a mid game that they can win within 10 minutes.
I'm excited to see which direction this game takes. As you said earlier, the next 30 seconds will be very interesting to see as well how much of a lead can they also gain down towards the bottom side of the rift, because then it's all 5 lanes really. If they manage to get some gold onto the Voxlane as well, then everyone has been impacted. Nida has gotten a kill and assist. Same goes for Rift in the top lane, and Nash has gotten a couple of assists on these plays as well, while then Voxlane now might be able to get some of that played gold. Such a strong performance, and as you said, Riddle, they are not out of the game yet. They're a very good team. They're very good mechanically, and they know how they should be able to get back in the game. But my excitement for this game, Root, was Ruddy might be able to do this. Now I know they can do it. It's just if they can do it throughout the whole game.
Yeah, that continuation. We saw this from Natives in game number 1. Not quite to this extent, it is worth saying, but that Natives managed to find some early advantages for themselves. They got those early objectives. It wasn't without them overextending a little bit and getting collapsed on by Verdant, but we need to see that that lead that they generate for themselves here, Ruddy, isn't just immediately taken out by one solid team fight by Riddle. Riddle have been behind before. They're not a team that plays exceedingly fast. They are used to these more slow-paced games, ones that give them a little bit more time to chug along and to get onto that late game stage. And when they start team fighting, they can truly come alive and just start out mechanicking everybody, even if they've got these gold disadvantages. So like you mentioned, they're not out of the woods yet here, Ruddy. It's not a done deal and the first loss handed to Riddle, but Riddle have got a lot of work to do if they want to try and claw their way back into this game. It is not easy. Want to just give some illumination to the folks at home. We are currently experiencing some headset issues with some of the players. That's why obviously we decided to pause randomly through the middle of the game, so bear with us. We are trying to get those fixed, remedied and sorted, and as soon as they are, we will be back onto the Rift.
Yeah, and even worse, I just found out we have even more issues. It's not just the headsets anymore, we have some observer problems as well. Regardless though,
oh good,
the thing that I want to talk about now is the fact that Ruddy have established a lead, and the games where I've seen Ruddy play like this normally end with a pretty quick and clean Ruddy W, because when they have built these massive leads early on, or not massive, but leads early on through...
Oh, this is massive. For an early game, you can say it.
Massive lead in this 8-minute portion of the game. They've been able to close it out. They have been so well thought out with this, and I think this comes down to the coaching as well, because I really, really respect the coaching team that Ruddy has on. I know they've done great work. I've seen some of the work that Hidden has done behind the scenes on Tricked as well, when he helped out over the Amazon European Masters when they qualified for that. So it's a very philosophical coaching team, I would say, from my perspective, but it's also very good at knowing how to win a game. And that's what you highlighted before as well. They know how to close out, they know how they can lose a game, and they play to avoid that. It's so impressive.
You make a great point. I really do think that when Ruddy are ahead, they generally stomp their games. There's been that one exception of Veneer where I feel like for Ruddy it's just been stomp or be stomped, and it's crazy to see No Name actually pull this one out on a Sejuani, because there have been a couple of Elise games where this is what we sort of expect from an Elise, and No Name has managed to do this same sort of thing. Ruddy have won a game within 25-30 minutes, but doing this on a Sejuani is a completely different beast. Yes, the champion has CC, but not nearly the same amount of damage and early game priority that you expect from the likes of an Elise that we've seen on this Sejuani now. So again, credit to No Name, because the start off to this game has been really flawless, has genuinely been in all the right places as far as just getting back up to that top side for the second repeat gank. It might not have seemed like a lot, but the presence of mind to, okay, if I actually gank top right now instead of clearing my bot side, I'm going to just turbo win the early game.
And I want to make a quick apology here. We lied on the broadcast. It was not a small 2-minute issue. We can fix it in 2 minutes. I profusely apologize. And with that, I'm going to send you guys to a small 5-minute break. We will get everything sorted out, I promise. And then we will be back with more Match of the Day. See you soon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are right into the action as something is happening up in the top lane. Kills are flying. I think Nida died. Okay, let's just bring this back, Rude, and explain what has happened. Because, so, we had some issues with the PC. It crashed. Our spectator PC crashed. We were at the 8.5 minute something mark, and they had just invaded on the side of Ruddy. And now, we lost 6 minutes of gameplay. Those 6 minutes are gone forever. We don't know what happened. But, I mean, we sort of know what happened because apparently Ruddy are very far ahead in this game.
They're going to look to get even further ahead. They've got a big flank coming.
Let's see what happens here as Banderas will be able to jump away. Fire Rain survives, thankfully, as Rifty does miss his W on the minion. Very nice sidestep, though, to be able to get out of the issues. I thought so, but no. He gets locked up and taken down. That's one back for Riddle. I'm just still trying to understand everything that has happened in those 6 minutes. Go on.
The important thing is that No Name is still 100% kill participation, and that's all that I particularly care about right now. Now, the Rift Herald is looking to go the way of Riddle, who are 1-1 in Drakes as well. 4.5k gold lead for Ruddy. Not necessarily the most insane lead that we would have seen at this early game point, and I think that the game probably stagnated quite heavily after that invade kill that we saw onto Fire Rain. Because I think that the kills are largely the same. So we've gone back to this, let's just look for objectives style of gameplay. And I think that thus far, Ruddy are going to be coming out on top of this second Herald.
So, I'm also noticing the fact, Rudy, that Ruddy have been able to take down 2 turrets and build up a big lead on boxes. So probably after the thing that happened down in the bot jungle, they were able to get at very least a couple plays for Den Voxner. Then put him top. We saw a bit of the fight that happened up there. And then he got another turret. So that is likely why he is so strong and so fit. Because a couple kills, good CS, and 2 turrets in this pocket as well.
So Silver win condition is nearly there. Nearly there. We're not fully online just yet. We've not reached 3 items, but we're very close to Navori, which is a really beautiful spike for a Sivir to hit. Obviously, you reduce the cooldown of your basic abilities, which means that you can have probably 100% uptime on W once you hit a 3rd item if it's an attack speed one, and you get your spell shield up a lot sooner too. A lot of safety added to the Navori item for a Sivir in particular, just because of the workings with the spell shield and the passive. Still got that mid-tier 1 to try and break down, though. And of course, with this Rift Herald, it shouldn't be too difficult. There we go. No Name going to look to pop it down in the mid lane, and it should just fall like a house of cards. Riddle aren't going to be able to stop this one.
And, if we're talking about positives or current strength for Riddle, well, it's the fact that Jinjo has 309 stacks, or 312 rather, on his mana immune. That's almost at the mirror mana. He also has the Essence Reap already, so he's hit a strong 2-item spike. They've hit 1-item spike on both Fire Rain and Johan, so they should be able to still almost one-shot whichever target they choose with their combo. So there's still some things going on for Riddle. As you say, the lead, not the biggest. It's not game over, but Ruddy have been able to extend it during this pause.
Yeah, Riddle's teamfight still will exist very much so in the later stages of the game, and they're working slowly towards it. The good thing for Riddle, I think, is that the real deficit is in that top lane, right? We look at the items, we've got fully completed Blade for Rifty, and then we've just got Banderas, who's gone for as many components as physically possible. Finished tier 2 boots and then just spent 800 gold every time he's gone back to base without finishing an actual item, which is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. All of these items that he's built for himself are incredibly cost efficient, right? Outside of the chain vest, everything else in his inventory has like an extra bonus to just the stats that it gives you, right? Sheen with the Sheen proc, the Kindle gem has an extra bit of ability haste. So there are some good items in there, but it's going to be a long time till Banderas actually finishes a fully completed item. JK, he just did it. I lied.
You've been caught out. 4K.
Yeah.
Snap a picture of that one, regardless. Go on, Luke.
That's my bad. I got baited by the fact that we were actually 20 minutes into the game instead of 13, which is where my head is, you know. I've commentated 13 minutes of League this game instead of the 19. Doesn't matter, though, because the other important part is that Sejuani is full build. No Name has a Radiant Virtue, and Ergo is ready to fight on every given timer.
Yeah, the game is looking good, and they're continuing to try and build that lead. Most recently, they took the mid lane to 1 as well. Now down towards the bot lane, some stuff might happen here. No Name is in the area, bot lane, close enough as well. And I do believe the Drake is also up, and it is being taken at the moment by Ruddy. So that will be the second Drake, so they're getting that under control as well. And what is Riddle getting in the meantime? Well, a bit of a vision around the Baron, but that's it.
They're getting jungle camps of their own, though, and not the enemies, which is the typical trade that you tend to see for the Dragon at this stage in the game, which speaks to just how far ahead Ruddy actually are in the matchup right now. Mid lane ping pong going to continue. Jinzhou will still be a threat. He's opted into a bit more of an old school build. I don't want to particularly harp on it too much, but we do tend to see Essence Reaver or Mirror Mana. Don't get both because they're both great mana tools. But opting to delay the build path a little bit here. We'll have to wait and see what style of Ezreal this is, whether it's the Navori Kraken or if it's just going to be a bit more lethality focused and a bit more ranged oriented, let's say.
That will be very interesting to see because it feels like he has to be one of the big damage sources in terms of how the game has gone so far. And just to review the minutes of gameplay we have seen from Jinzhou, I thought he's performed really, really well so far. He's been very good at hitting the Qs whenever we have seen him. Remember, guys, this is his debut after coming in, as Reptile have to be subbed out due to some health issues with his wrist or arm or somewhere along there. So he can't play as much League of Legends as usual. We wish him, obviously, a speedy recovery. But Jinzhou so far, I think he's definitely showing up to the Riddle level on his debut, despite the game not going that way.
He's getting AD carry momented right now. The rest of the map has kind of faltered around him, and he's doing the best as possible. Engage, though.
Yeah, they might get something back here. A bit of damage onto Nash, but the target they're trying to one-shot is No Name. You can't do that, Riddle. And that will cost you dearly as you lose Fire Rain, and you will likely lose another turret in the top lane.
And these get melted as well. Sivir, Jace, Renekton, all very good at taking down turrets with their own relative attack speed steroids. And like you mentioned, Duckling, that was not the right target selection. Johan went in. I feel like he was expecting to get a second E in there to really get in the mix of things, but it ulted up No Name exclusively, right? And then Fire Rain obviously goes in. You don't have time to look at who's been knocked up. You're just trusting your Diana. And unfortunately, it wasn't a well-placed trust. Johan certainly missing the mark so far this game. And No Name is absolutely styling on him. 3-0 and 5. Not Rift Herald, excuse me. Baron now secured with 100% kill participation. This Sejuani has been lethal.
And with just the 1 kill gained, what happened? Well, Ruddy got the Baron and the lead is growing. I'm so impressed by this Ruddy roster, man. When they are playing well, they are playing near perfect League of Legends. It's been such a joy to see so far this game, even if we haven't seen it all. But obviously, Riddle, I don't want to count them out until the game is over, because I don't know where they could pull out the big 5-man combo and they could turn around this game.
I mean, Knight might just kill here.
Oh. No way.
He does a lot of damage, Duckling. I don't know if we figured this one out.
I was not ready for that damage, to be honest with you, Rude, as now he's battling up against the tank. He's doing good damage to him as well, and here comes Rifty for support. As Snyder needs to be a bit careful, as Bandera is now the one forced to flee, as Snyder looks to switch around the guns a couple times. Could look to jump him down, flash, and that's the kill for Snyder. 2 more kills into the Ruddy pocket as the bot lane is taking down the turrets there as well. It is domination against the undefeated Riddle.
Undefeated is going to be an unusable title after this game, Duckling, because Ruddy are absolutely dominating them. This isn't the work of a 8-0 team from Riddle. This is the work of a team that are just getting absolutely spandangled. They have had no say in this game from minute 2.
And now, though, Riddle will get something back on this top side of the Rift, as Johan is able to pick up Rifty with the help of Jinzhou and Kiba. But that's it. They're only getting picks back here and there. They're almost 10k gold behind. Our undefeated 8-0 super team are almost 10k gold behind in 24 minutes.
And this is so refreshing for Ruddy as well. Off of a really rough game against Veneer, they did still win, but again, wasn't by any means clean. And after the last time these two teams played, it's giving me those same vibes, Duckling, right? Ruddy were getting absolutely demolished in that game, except this time, they're the ones that are demolishing. Riddle have had no standing in this match, and it's due to the early game aggression that No Name has been making. It's just all-out warfare from this pig, and honestly, it's deserving. They've been able to not just find those kills, but segue that into objective after objective. And with that first Baron of the game, they've taken every single structure outside the base and are 9,000 gold to the good. Barring one dragon, they have got all of the neutral objectives. And you can see in the gold as well that every single lead is at least 1,000 gold.
Yeah, it's so massive. Just looking over there. It is a massive lead in pretty much every single lane, even support. There is a sizable lead for Ruddy as they now will secure the soul point as well. Riddle just happy to be able to get some free time to take some camps, catch a couple waves. It is so hard to be Riddle at this moment, and I knew we missed 6 minutes, right? But I did not expect this game to be this explosive right off the bat.
I'm gonna say, Duckling, I think we missed the best 6 minutes to miss because the kills were largely the same, and I think outside of 1 or 2 turrets, we didn't miss a lot. We've still got a large portion of the action in this game and the determining points of the game itself. With no Baron, it is a little difficult for them to siege. Ezreal hasn't got particularly great wave clear, so that's going in the favour of Ruddy. But Niter is level 17 right now. It's 26 minutes into the game. That is exceptional amounts of experience to be picking up. And without a Baron, without any real advantage other than this gold lead, they're going to take an inhibitor.
But
maybe.
Around the opening of the bases route, that is when you start to be a little bit grouped or more likely to be grouped up. Then maybe that's where Riddle can look to get something back. But right now, and that's the thing with Ruddy, when they're playing well, they're playing so well. They know they shouldn't be grouping up at these points where they can get caught out in chokeholds. Then Voxner gets caught up by an arrow, but that's all he does. He's still looking to get out for now. He's being peeled near perfectly as Banderas will slowly but surely get taken down, and they won't even more as Nash will lock up some. Yes, that's a 4-man knock-up, but it does not matter as Ruddy, the word of the day, will run you down, will take the kills, will take the game as they've lost 3, but then Voxner will not hold.
Standing strong, the Ruddy AD carry. He's got no name in his back pocket. Banderas is still alive. Jinjo has a fountain to go back to. It's not easy.
Oh, but look at the AoE from Den Voxner. Despite him being low, he's dishing out so much. He could easily win this as Jinjo nicely picks up yet another kill. Such a good debut for him, considering the circumstances as the True Shot Barrage connects. And Den Voxner surely set to fall 600 extra gold. Gets denied. That's a good spell shield gets him out.
This is exceptionally close team fighting, and this is why we've been saying Riddle are not out of the woods just yet. Even down 10,000 gold, they're finding these team fights that are going even. Nash had a great re-engage there. Gets 2-3 people in the charm, but Johan waiting, biding his time. Finally goes in, sets up Fire in for the last breath. But the amount of space that Rifty can buy with this Renekton, who's exceptionally far ahead of the curve, is all too much. And even though there is a 2v2 at the end, it was one that had just been won out by Riddle and the fact that they had a fountain to go back to. If that's in the middle of the map, Ruddy is sweeping.
It definitely would have been, and as the game gets back on, both of these AD carries so crucial in the fights. You see how much damage they can do, but you highlighted it perfectly. The 4-man ultimate from Johan, such a massive turning point, buying Riddle time to dish out the damage on the front line and take it down as they were locked up in the last breath. But as the second Baron now spawns, Ruddy instantly turn their attention to a TP's in from Riddle.
Fire has teleport as well. He's going to try and clear out one more super wave on the bot side to give them a little bit of time, but here they go.
Oh, locked up onto the side of No Name. Baron has been dropped, it feels like. Be aware, no flash on Nida, no flash on Den Voxner. Johan doesn't have it either, neither does Jinjo. There are very few summoners in this fight.
Nash used his ulti there. Nash was trying to peel Johan, and that's a really big disengage tool that Ruddy no longer have at their disposal. There's the Glacial Prison still ready, still able to try and find somebody who's a little bit isolated, but they don't need to play this particularly quick here, Ruddy. They can wait, they can play slow. Look at the bot lane. There's a wave crashing in, and now that we see Fire Rain show up, he doesn't have TP. Ruddy, they can turn. This is a 4v5 in their favor, and they don't even need to take a fight. Riddle, they recognized that that was their window. They didn't take it, and now there's a Baron.
Wow, that is just so nice and Ruddy. As you just described it perfectly, Rude. I'm not gonna just repeat what you said, but it was so smart. They just read the window so well, Ruddy. Knew, just wait it out, and we can get it. It is so nice to see.
Exceptional, yeah.
Yeah, as you say, exceptional. It's the right word to describe it, because you're not playing against a team that hasn't won a game or has only won 2. You're playing against our undefeated team, and be able to keep that level head and realize the situation and realize the advantage that you have from getting that inhibitor and using it this well. It is so nice to see, and it just gives me confidence, not just in Ruddy, but in our league as a whole, that we will at the very least be able to show up at the EMEA Masters and, you know, have teams make us proud, because Ruddy, they are playing so well right now.
And it's one thing to have a game like this up against your natives, your uniques, your dominoes, but it's another to do it up against a team that haven't lost a single game of League of Legends yet in our split. Ruddy, upsetting all expectations here. I know there were a couple of our casters that were thinking there's a world where this happens, and they even sort of threw the Hail Mary at this, but I don't think anybody was expecting it to be quite this convincing. They're now turning their attention to the top side, splitting the map. One inhibitor's down in the bot lane. They're going to go for a second one in the top lane, and then they can slowly ascend through the mid lane and have an absolute wonder fight. Banderas is looking for a flank. Riddle, they're actually taking away a Drake as well with Fire Rain, so they lose an inhib, but they don't give over Soul. The theory is, I imagine, from Ruddy, we will end the game with this Baron, and if we don't, that one Ocean Drake isn't going to save the game for Riddle.
Let's see what they can do. The Baron's still active as they push for the final inhib turret. It just falls. It's smooth as butter.
Jinjo's already half HP.
Yeah, as you say, Jinjo half HP just by the poke. The inhibitor set to fall here as well. As Riddle just that one fight away from winning the game.
And again, just play slowly here, Ruddy. They don't need to take these excessively long-winded fights. They can let the minions do the work. They're going to have pushing mid, pushing bot, pushing top as well. And with the Baron at their back, I think they've got maybe 30 more seconds on this Baron. If they can just use it to coax down these Nexus turrets, find a fight afterwards. Riddle are the ones that are pressured here. They're the ones that have to go for a fight. Look at Johan. He's your engage.
The Nexus turret is all that stand, and that means Riddle has to go. They try to get onto the Boxner, but they can. And Nash can find your backline, lock them up, and as your front line falls, Riddle's backline falls to peel. But Ruddy will walk all over the corpse of the previously undefeated team. A massive W here for the Ruddy Nation as they crush Riddle so easily.
Word of the day and team of the day as well. They take down our undefeated roster. 7-2 now for Ruddy. We were expecting this from them coming into the split, but they didn't deliver in the first round robin. Second round robin comes in and they are ready. They turn expectations on their head and come out with a win.
That was such a strong performance. If Ruddy were to win this game, I initially thought it would be a hard-fought 40-minute back and forth, but Ruddy were in control from the beginning to the end. There were a couple slip-offs where you saw glimmers of the Riddle we've seen in 8 games where they've beaten everyone. But Ruddy were just better. They were so confident in all stages of the game. And I am so impressed by the level they showed here today.
And I know that I'm going to get asked this. I don't think anybody's going to have any qualms with this, but No Name is my MVP for this game. His early game set Ruddy up for the entirety of that match. If No Name was as absent as Johan was in that early stage, we could very well have seen that 40 minute slugfest that you were expecting, but we didn't. It was incredible early gameplay from the Sejuani. Got leads in all 3 lanes through, from the double gank top lane, the one gank in the mid lane, and then finding a pick in the jungle, which we were assumed segued into either a whole turret in the bot side or just enough plates to give Dan Voxnay a strong lead. It all came off the back of this Sejuani. Frequently, we've seen Riddle use the Nash and the Nash No Name combo to find these fights. The early stages, there wasn't anything there, I'm afraid. It was exclusively No Name and really well worthy.
And let's just take a look at some of his highlights again. He was all around the map, and I want to say, all I've already played this game so well, but No Name has to be the MVP. Want to give a special shout out to Nash as well. Yet another phenomenal performance on the Rakan. You cannot give this man Rakan, man. He's so good at it, finding the backline. This one pick, by the way, if you don't remember, led to a whole Baron and to a 10k goalie. This is the one fight where Riddle were able to find the 4-man Moonlight or ultimate from the side of Johan, and they came back. They kept the game alive, but it just was not enough to come back and win the game.
Do believe we get to have an interview, though. I'm assuming Riddle will be our first one up. Welcome, it's Jinjo from the AD carry role. How are you doing?
Not so bad. It was a fun game.
Yeah, it certainly was a fun game, and for you, coming into the undefeated team, 8-0, obviously expectation was very high. I thought you delivered a good performance during the circumstance, but how would you rate the debut overall, and how does it feel slotting into Riddle?
It doesn't feel too strange slotting into Riddle. I think they have a pretty defined way of how they'd like to play. And so I guess it's just making sure the things I can offer to the team in terms of champion pool and map play match that. And I think today maybe it wasn't as matched as it could be. And yeah, I think it's going to take some time to integrate and today wasn't a particularly good game. But yeah, I'm confident for the future.
So just for to give us a little bit of context, then, how long have you actually been, with the squad? Because obviously Reptile was playing last week. You've come in, I assume, at some point during this week. Has that? I'm assuming that the synergy's not all there, but has it been like 2 days? Has it been a week? What are we working on?
Oh yeah, I think we've scrimmed for maybe 3 days or something like that. So yeah, not a huge amount, but at the same time, I'd say it's it's a foolish thing to blame. If it was a lack of synergy or something like that, I think today Ruddy played pretty good, and I think we played quite poorly, and I'm not sure it was a synergy issue. Yeah, I think everyone knew better, and yeah, we just got outplayed today.
I'm glad to hear the responsibility being taken. Certainly, you've been playing for long enough to know when these things are appropriate and when these things aren't. So I'm glad that there's that recognition there. I want to get to know you a little bit more, right? Because you've obviously just come into this team, but you weren't playing for any teams through the off or during this time. What was your off season like, and how did this opportunity present itself? I suppose.
Yeah, okay, it's a pretty interesting story actually. So I actually went to South Korea after Split 2 last year, and I was planning to stay there until Split 2 started in Europe. But I ended up getting influenza A and pneumonia, so I got super sick and had to fly back to Australia urgently. And then yeah, I kind of didn't feel, once I started getting healthy again, which it took about 2 months in total. Once I got better, I didn't feel that comfortable going back to Korea, so I decided to come back to Europe and just sort of train until Split 2 began. And yeah, opportunity came up, and I thought, well, since it's just till the end of EU Masters, why not start playing, try something out, and try to see how my form is. So that's pretty much it.
I really like your confidence, Ginger. Already talking about EU Masters and going to that. I have no doubt if you slot into Riddle, you'll definitely be contesting for the 2 spots there. I have no further questions. You've been great to have on. Congratulations on the spot first and foremost. I'm super excited to see how far you can take this, because I definitely saw a lot of potential here today in your performance, despite the loss. And thank you so much for coming on, and enjoy your evening.
Cheers. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
And with that, as usual, we'll move right on into the winners, and it's Ruddy. I never know what to expect. We have the big man here with a happy little dance. Welcome to the show, Donjay. There's no mic.
Oh,
you're muted. You're muted. Quickly.
There is no audio. It is unfortunate. The good thing about this is Duckling always says to me, "Oh, I love it when we get Danes. Finally, we've got a Brit on the broadcast." No, that's not fixed it, Donjay.
I mean, Donjay, can you just give us a dance in the meantime? Never mind. We've kicked him out for the meantime. Send him back to Brexit. Brexit means Brexit. He cannot be on interviews. Regardless,
I'll leave as well, I guess.
I know I can't lose you too, Rude. I can't do this alone. I'm excited. I mean, I enjoyed the dance. We gotta go to 30-second performance there from Donjay. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. And hopefully he gets it all figured out sooner rather than later, because what a performance this team had.
Let's take a minute quickly. How crazy is it that Jinjo was taking this training arc in South Korea, gets influenza, and then decides the same split, I'm ready, I can compete, let's go. And worth noting that it's a big step as well to go from South Korea back home to Australia as an oceanic native, and then come back to Europe as well to continue. The commitment is actually incredible.
It is.
So I just want to shout out that commitment, really.
I'm really excited about Jinjo. I can't wait to see how he performs in our league as he slots further in. Really interesting story. And as you say, right, influenza. I mean, normally when I think of influenza, I think maybe a week where I'm down, but 2 months, man, that must have been some serious illness. And it's insane to see that he overcame that. And now we have the dancing man back. We can hear you now, Jake. How are you doing? Yeah, we
listen. Sorry, audio issues. Riddle me this. Riddle me that. What do you call that game if not for a fucking jungle gap? That's what I'm talking about, baby. Ruddy on top, defeating the undefeated, doing the impossible. My hairline is straight. It's on the straight and narrow. Regan's bum is bulbous. No sore. What can you realistically do against us? We're unrelenting. We're just amazing. It's the beautiful game that we play.
Oh, Donjay, man. I love you. I love your energy. I don't know if you want us to ask questions, or do you just want to talk about what you have on your heart? What do you want here?
Listen, man. You're looking at 5 guys. I've got 5 guys that should be locked up for 5 federal crimes. These guys, they shouldn't be allowed to play League of Legends, man. These are killers. These are natural-born predators on the Rift every week, man. Listen, you can't draft against Hedon. It's impossible. This guy's got 5 dimensions of drafting going. He's already beaten you before the game started, man. The first game we played against Riddle, it was a commitment game, but they couldn't understand that, man. They don't understand that practice makes perfect, and we perfected our gameplay today.
I mean, you really did. It was such a stunning performance. We were at times speechless here on the casting desk, John Jake, because your boys were just as clean as your merch. It was impeccable.
Listen, merch here, dropping soon. Make sure you buy that. I've got another message. If you're an esports pro player, maybe you play an NLC, and your mum's got a Twitter account, make sure she follows me.
Word to the wise.
We've had a few mums. We've got a few mums follow me already. Let's keep it going.
We love esports moms, though. By the way, just shout outs in general. So obviously, follow everyone. Show support for the team. Are there any esports moms in your team that you know of, Don Jake?
I'm not going to do my players like that.
That's not doing it like that. That's the support. It's the support.
I'm not trying to out demand them for having their mums on Twitter. We're not doing that.
Hey, you're the one that's fine. Respect though, honestly. You got that.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, Don Jake,
listen, all I have to say, for next game, our next important game, Nord, I remember Akabane saying on an interview that Ruddy's no competition. I mean, he said it a little bit more French than that. I wonder what he's thinking now watching this. You're asking, when does WoW play? When do you play us? Are you going to show up? Because Riddle stomped you, and we've just beaten them.
I like the confidence. I love the confidence even. Don Jake, thank you so much for coming on. Wonderful merch, wonderful game.
Ruddy up.
Ruddy
Hala
up,
Madrid.
and we'll see you soon. Oh man, every week we have these interviews. I love them. Thank you so much, Don Jake.
Are you hanging up or am I?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Ask my producer.
Take him away.
I love Ruddy. Regardless, though, that's it for the game of the day. We'll throw it to a pause, and when we come back, there will be way more NLC action coming right up.